Our course is starting to finally look like something. We've got some class information put together, we've got a course content outline, and we've even added a discussion. Today we're going to add an assignment to our course and build up those assessment tools that students are going to use for the rest of your course. Let's get started, and first let's go ahead and navigate to the location of where the assignment is that we're going to add. We're going to go down here to Module 4 that we've been working on. We're going to click on Module 4. And as before, with discussion, we had a placeholder, and so there's our discussion. Down here we have a placeholder for our assignment. So we're going to go ahead and first go up to the top again as before. In this case, we're going to use assessment tool, and we're going to add an assignment. We're just going to call this Module 4 assignment. And we're going to then add text here for the instructions for the assignment. Now I'm going to go, as I did before, I wrote out the assignment in Microsoft Word first. I learned my lesson last time. What I want to do before I copy it over is I'm going to remove all the formatting, and you can do that here by clicking on remove all formatting. I'll leave it like this. I'm going to then copy this, and I'm going to Control C to copy. I'm going to go over to Blackboard again. In the instructions box, I'm going to paste. And then I can go ahead and format everything properly here. And I'm going to remove some of the spaces. I'm going to give the Module 4 assignment, as I did before, a heading. And I'm going to give the instructions a subheading designation. This little note, I'm just going to make that italicized just to make sure that they understand to look at that. It kind of denotes it or sets it off from the rest of the paragraph. And then I have a numbered, let's see, I have a numbered list here. I'm going to go up here and click numbers. And then underneath that, I have, underneath 4, I have them addressing these particular questions in their report. So this assignment is a report that they're going to do. And I'm just going to tab it over a little bit to set it up. And so I've got an assignment where they're going to watch a few videos, and they're going to follow these instructions. They're going to write a report, and they're going to address these particular questions in it. Now, of course, they've got some videos to watch. I could post the videos separately, but I can also post them inside of this assignment. So here's a little bit of an advanced tip of how to do that. And so I've got my assignment set up, the instructions, and I'm going to add the videos to the bottom of these instructions. To do that, first I'm going to go, I've got the videos pulled up in YouTube. I'm going to use this one. This is a invertebrate parasite video. I'm going to click on share, go to embed, and I'm going to copy this text. And you can either select this and copy this, or I can just click on the copy. I'm going to close that, come back. Now I can't just, if I insert it right here, it'll just look like this, and it's just going to show up as this HTML text. So that's not where I want it. Instead, I'm going to go to HTML like I've done before, and I'm just going to put it I'm going to go to the bottom, and that's where I'm going to attach it. I'm going to hit update, and you'll now notice that yellow box that we've seen before. It's a video. Don't worry about what it looks like right now. I'm going to hit return, and I have a second video I want to attach. This is one on a parasitic wasp. So I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to go to embed, copy. After a while you get very proficient at this. I'm going to go back to HTML and post it underneath that. Okay, and so I now have 2 videos in there that I want them to watch to be able to then go, and then they're going to go find their own example of invertebrate parasite here, and then they're going to write a small report on it. Alright, I can also attach files. I don't need to do that in this particular case. The due date for this particular assignment is April 12th. So I'm going to, and I could go back and check my schedule to make sure that's the case. And this is worth 20 points. So I'm going to type in the 20 points here. Again, if you're developing this in more detail, you would potentially add a rubric that you would make. You could have one pre-made and upload it. But there's some other things that we have to consider here as well. So let's go through each one of these options. Submission details is something that you definitely need to pay attention to. With an assignment like this, since it's not timed or anything, it's an individual submission, I will often allow them unlimited attempts. Sometimes what happens is they submit something and they submitted the wrong file and they just resubmit it again, and I'm going to take the highest grade here. Okay. You can also, in Blackboard, and again this is going to depend upon whether or not your college has this turned on. For ACC is turned on. I'm going to check submissions for plagiarism, and this is going to check against other papers in the course, also on the web, to make sure that they're not just copying and pasting information. And of course you can also allow them to see this particular score when it looks for an originality. It creates an originality score, and then they can see that to see if they are doing this right. Also, there's other things to look at. For instance, when you grade it, you can enable anonymous grading. That can be useful, especially for tests, but I don't really need that here. And then we can look at display of grades, and you can display the grade as a score. You can display it as a percentage, those kinds of things. I don't really mess with the bottom two, that is these bottom two options, but this first option, the submission detail, is definitely something that you should look at. You can also set up these things up as group submissions. I do that for lab reports, for instance, but I don't need to do that here. Availability, I'm going to leave that alone unless I want it to not be available until a certain time, but I'm just going to leave that alone, and I'm going to hit submit. And this is actually a lot easier than the discussion. I didn't have to go and redo it. I didn't have to have two different texts, but you can now see, here's my Module 4 assignment. You can see that I have the information here as instructions, and here are the two videos that I want them to watch, and then they would click on the Module 4 assignment to submit their report. So I'm going to move this in place. I'm going to move it to where it should be, above the lecture exam, and I'm also going to delete that placeholder for the assignment. Okay, as I zoom out, or I'm going to zoom out here for just a moment so that we can see things a little bit better. So we can see our learning guide, we've got our folders, we've got our discussion, we've got an assignment now, and of course we still have to get to the exams and how to do those. Let's go ahead and get and look at this from the student perspective. We're going to do that by entering student preview. It's going to take us to the front. We're going to go to course content. We're going to go to Module 4. We're going to zoom down or scroll down, and we'll see the assignment. I can start playing these videos right here. I'm going to stop that. Very dramatic. Then once we write our report, we're going to click on Module 4 assignment. It shows them when the due date is, it shows them how many points this is worth. You've got your instructions, you've got your videos, and towards the bottom, this is where they're going to submit their report. Now, you might give them instructions about how to do this, but they could potentially write their report directly into Blackboard. So they could do it directly here. They could also write it in, say, Microsoft Word, or save it as a PDF or PowerPoint. You can see all the different potential document formats that this will accept. They can browse their computer and then find the file, attach it, and then of course they'll agree here to submit their paper for plagiarism for that safe assign, and then they can add their own comments. You know, sorry this is late. Anyway, that's a common comment I get when they turn it in after the time, but that's the things that the student would do. They would then hit submit, and then this is what I will see. I will see this when I do the grading. I will see what they've written text. I will see their submission. If there is a document here, it'll also list the document, and I can go view that separately, and I will see their comment here. Now again, if they want to check on their grades, they will go to My Grades. And as before with the discussion, you can see here's the discussion. They have not turned anything in yet because there's nothing listed. But with the assignment, there is that yellow circle with an exclamation point in it. That indicates that they have submitted it, and it's now waiting for me to grade it as the instructor. Anyway, that's all there is to it. We're going to exit out of this. We now have built our discussion and an assignment. And the next thing to get to is going to be to look at how to do exams or quizzes. Now before we do that, I want to the next chapter in the series is going to be looking at different kinds of exam questions in Blackboard. So before we can build the exam, let's review the different kinds of questions, the different types of questions that we might use in Blackboard, and look at how to set those up. And then we'll construct an exam in the following chapter. So until then, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you in the next chapter.